I'm here with my wonderful wife, Deborah. She's in our house, in her office. I'm in my office, which is in the garden. And next door is a beautiful, spacious annex where we hold retreats. I've been running retreats all around the world for 20 years. But recently, since our children have grown and left home, Deborah has not only been helping me and supporting me in that, but actually leading and guiding the retreats with me. And it's the perfect combination, I think, because I bring the spiritual understanding and philosophy, and Deborah has specialized in the body, the emotions, and the two together feel very complete. And she has quite a history in that. And if you want to see her qualifications and all the things that she's been up to, take a look at deborahocshea.com, because it's pretty impressive. But we've set up this conversation on Zoom in our respective offices, even though we're very close to each other, actually, for me, really, to ask Deborah how that is for her to come into the retreats and what she brings and how she sees them. And I'd like to start with the idea of being deep awake, because the retreats are called the Deep Awakening. And that for me is a state of communion or oneness, to which we have a very amazing response when we come into it, oneness with each other and with indeed the whole universe. So I'd like to start there, Deb, really, which is what would you say for you is the experience of being deep awake?
So for me, a deep awake state is like a peak flow state where we feel physically and emotionally relaxed. Our mind is calm and present, and we feel a sensorial aliveness. And so we can connect, we're open to connecting deeply in an expansive state where our relationships, our normal relationships with life, with ourselves, are softened. You know, we're kind of more malleable, and that opening is felt as, for me, as a compassion, a real deep connection with our life, our relationship with others, and what it means to be a person in the world.
And so when we do the retreats together, how do you see that journey that we all make together?
So we all, including ourselves, arrive separate individuals with our own life stories and life stresses going on, which can, you know, and plus also we arrive with the relationship with ourselves as well. And so the room is full of separate individuals, and there might be possible assumptions that you know, that we have when we just meet someone. And then we dive in, we literally dive in together, and we might not know much about each other, but we enter philosophy, which explains the movement from separation to unity and why that really matters. We have some amazing somatic meditations, which help that feel really relaxed and at ease and safe. And then connection meditations follow, which creates a real cohesiveness, you know, within the group, and connections start to unfold. And then we set up a beautiful space on the Saturday evening, and we enter a deep communion with others, and that takes place, and it can bring up beautiful experiences, but lots of different emotions actually, and all are welcome. But it's that communion that is so awesome. We don't really go into working out what happened on that night. We just enjoy it because it's very often celebratory, and we let go, and we sometimes have a dance, and then the next day we meet up and we share our experiences and leave with a sense of connection with the group. Our spirits are uplifted. We feel kinder for some reason, more compassionate with ourselves and others. And just that sense of we're on this life journey together, and what a ride it is.
And I mean, my personal experience is that since you've become involved in doing it alongside me, the deep awakening has jumped to a whole new level. And I was wondering, from your point of view, what it is that you see yourself as bringing to the process that we're, and what experiences you're focusing on.
Yeah. So at the retreat, I lead somatic meditations, which help us co-regulate.
What do you mean by somatic?
So body meditations, which include sensorial experiences such as aroma and touch and breathing, and really which enable the body to co-regulate. And this becomes a foundation from which we can be confident in our individuality, but also supports our movement towards the connection and unity, collective unity. And when we strengthen these emergent qualities within ourselves that we want to see in the world, it kind of opens up a space for us to bring more cooperation, to bring our most resilient self, to bring our most compassionate self. So that's what I want to that's what I want to lay the foundation of becoming comfortable in ourselves, so that we can really connect in this deep awake state, which brings the best of ourselves.
You mentioned aroma. That's something you've definitely brought that I wouldn't have thought of, and
Yes.
it's really powerful. What's that about?
Well, as all the somatic or all the body meditations do that I've just mentioned, the techniques themselves, I'll answer your question in a minute, but I just wanted to add that the techniques themselves are activating a human safety response. We first have to feel safe in order to be present. Otherwise, we're somewhere else thinking about our worries. And then this human safety response actually physically, biologically affects the body. And then it creates a feedback loop where the more we feel safe, the better we feel within ourselves, emotionally and psychologically. So all of the meditations I do are about creating safety for the individual, which allows our connection. And then, so let's talk about aroma. Aroma is direct, it's so quick. And oh my God, it's just, well, literally aroma envelops you in mood. And because it goes straight from the nose receptors to the limbic system of the brain, affecting mood and emotion. How effective is that? Very, very quick. And so I blended a deep awake oil, which that aroma actually is now associated with the retreat and the experience that I do in meditation massage. But then we use touch, and touch is amazing because it affects it's our love hormone, if you like. Our oxytocin is activated through that nurturing touch. And we can go on, the breathing activates the vagal nervous system, which creates deep relaxation, tells the body that it's safe, allows the rest and safety response to be able to connect deeply with others.
I really notice I don't want to generalize, but sometimes when you start, I can see there's a kind of resistance to actually getting the body involved, and especially from the guys, and perhaps also because people have come because I'm a philosopher, and that's not body centered. But
Yeah.
what I notice is that it does transform people's states profoundly. They do become safer and relaxed, and then the fluidity with which you can change your ideas and shift your whole soul experience, it it, really does allow that to happen much more easily, and that lovely safety by the end is. So I'm thinking, a lot of the things you're describing is are really, it feels like they're exploding in culture right now as part of the kind of wellness or self-care, self-love phenomena, and that's something you've been very involved in. What is that? Do you think what is happening?
Well, for me, it's not about, although I do like it as well, taking long baths and lots of creams and things. I love all that, but actually, self-care or self-love is about creating self-acceptance and self-belief, and it's that particular thing is central to the retreat. It's that self-love about supporting a healthy body-mind connection, spiritual connection. A kind relationship is absolutely paramount with oneself before you can be more loving and present and aware with others. So for me, it's a vital way to connect deeply with our life and our relationships. And self-love is not all about fluffiness. It takes resilience. It takes self-discipline to kind of keep yourself in that in the way that you want to be in the world, because everything's coming to you and you are in reaction to what's coming. And so that sort of centering is so important.
So one of the areas I'm thinking where what you do and what I do kind of meet or overlap is often when you've got people in that very relaxed, very sensual, really embodied state, to then take them into the imagination with intention meditations or visualizations as well. And what's that about?
Yeah, well, obviously the psyche is this big imaginative place, and the thoughts that we have are not always helpful, especially around ourselves. So in this self-acceptance area, leading meditations of intention and visualization, we can bring about new possibilities, literally, and see ourselves with greater potential, which then reflects on our decisions, our lives, our real lives. So I want to create feelings of self-empowerment and creating a better version of ourselves for ourselves.
I think one of the things which is slightly confusing for people that don't know us, I think, about the
Yes.
retreats, is that people often seem used to a retreat which deals with some part of them. Oh, it's all about spiritual awakening away from normal life and into the great cosmic oneness, or however that's framed. Or it's bodies and the stuff that you associate with embodied meditation, or it's psychological, or it's emotional, or it's quiet, or it's celebratory. And yet what seems to mark out the whole journey that we've ended up taking ourselves on over and over again, and taking these lovely people with us, is it really involves all of that. And I love that completeness, that feeling of I'm all of that. My humanity embraces all of that. So I just wanted to end up this conversation by asking you, this is a hard question perhaps, what's your favorite moment or part of the retreat process for you? What's
Well, by far, it's an easy question for me, because
Okay.
by far the Sunday morning after the deep awakening experience, immersion, is to see people really relaxed. They're themselves, totally themselves, and realizing that that is more than okay. In fact, it's outstandingly beautiful. And all emotions are present sometimes in that circle on the Sunday, and everything arises from great grief, sadness, joy, everything is there, but everything is welcome and supported, not only by us who are holding, but everyone else in the circle who are also holding. And so it brings out a huge goodness in everyone, and a desire for all to be well for everyone. It's very real and tender, life affirming. And then just that departure where we're all feeling uplifted and in love. It's just feelings of joy, and having friendships made or friendships deepened. And then just to mention, that's my favorite part, but then there's the afterglow of the retreat where we will all meet up online. So it goes on.
That you're right. And it's that moment, especially right at the very, very end, when we're actually going to part from each other, and there's that kind of feeling of, oh, we've been in this beautiful place together, and we're now all going home, and yet it's also the moment that I feel everyone actually takes on board what's happened, that it's been such a significant shift, and how positive it's been, and how the relationships we now have with each other is very special.
Yeah, and just one of the things that I think everyone sees, is that what you see arising in others, that great love, that oh, isn't it great to be you? We see it in others, and others are seeing it in us, and that's so affirming. And I mean us as in the group. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful note to end, I think, on. People being affirmed, and we need that from each other, don't we? Because the life journey is tough. It's beautiful. It's tough. And to see people feel like they can meet that, and like you started off this conversation when I asked you the first question by going, it's not just like the participants arrive in a very different state to they leave, but you and I arrive in a very different state to what we leave, because we have the privilege of entering in from our lives and having this transformatory process happen to us as well, which is really lovely. Which is another lovely thing about doing it with you, because I get to go through that process with you, and you get to go through that process with me.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
So hopefully that's been of interest, my friends. If you'd like to go through that process with us, check out timfreke.com, where you'll find the information about the forthcoming retreats, and it would be lovely to connect with you in person.